Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So today we have the last round of checks for November going out to certain Social Security beneficiaries. We're going to be covering who is going to be eligible to receive these payments. Plus, with the 2024 presidential election now less than 1 year away, we have Democrats urging Joe Biden to go big as far as Social Security goes. So we're going to be covering that as well. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so of course we have the presidential election for 2024 now less than 1 year away. It'll be here before we know it. Should be interesting. Is it going to be Biden? Is it going to be Trump? It looks like those two are going to be going head to head as both the Democratic nominee and the Republican nominee. Things can certainly change, but if I were a betting man, if I were to place some money on this, I would expect it to be Donald Trump versus Joe Biden in the end. And in order to beat Trump, we have a lot of Democrats saying to Joe Biden that he absolutely needs to go big with Social Security and try to sort of draw a line as a difference, saying that Biden, for Team Biden, we really support all these Social Security expansions, whereas maybe Team Trump doesn't support as much of an expansion. They want to have sort of a difference there to sort of push themselves up a little bit more in the polls. So according to Politico, it's a story Joe Biden loves to tell midway through his State of the Union address as the president accused Republicans of trying to cut entitlements like Social Security. Loud objections from the House chamber suddenly turned his speech into a negotiation. Pausing to spar with GOP lawmakers, Biden extracted a promise to take entitlement cuts off the table in the upcoming debt ceiling showdown, securing a major victory before talks even began. That unscripted moment has taken on outsized political significance in the months since, held up as an example of Biden's negotiating prowess and his commitment to the social safety net. But among Democrats bracing for a tight 2024 contest, some now want him to go further. Progressives have pitched Biden officials and Democratic leaders in recent months on endorsing a plan to expand Americans' Social Security benefits, according to several people involved in the informal discussions. The proposal, they argue, would be broadly popular with an electorate that ranks Social Security among the top issues they care deeply about, especially among seniors more likely to vote. And after Republicans swore off cuts for the time being, it would allow Biden to stake out a new contrast with the GOP, one painting him as more supportive of the cherished social insurance program. So again, Democrats want Joe Biden to go big with Social Security over the next year, at least really push some of those different bills that are being presented in Congress over the last year and try to push for these Social Security increases for pretty much everyone, whether you're receiving retirement, disability, or SSI. Democrats want Joe Biden to really push Congress to pass some of these programs, and even though they may not be able to, fully pass the bills, they still want Joe Biden to go out to the mainstream media and really, just push them to be passed. So even though they may not be passed, Democrats want Biden to be more of a strong messenger for the program. And let's not forget, back in 2020, whenever Joe Biden was running for president, he promised 4 different things if he were to become president, or at least 4 different things that he would definitely push. And those 4 things, first off, for those receiving the special minimum benefit, right now that is an extremely low amount. He wanted to push that to 25% above the federal poverty line, and if that were in fact enacted, in that case, people would be receiving an increase of right around $485. So this would have been an absolutely huge increase. He also wanted to increase payments for Social Security beneficiaries starting at the age of 78 and running through the age of 82. So each year you would receive an increase of 1% on top of the cost of living adjustment that would end at 82, so there would be a 5% increase for age beneficiaries. He also wanted to change the cost of living adjustment, so right now they use something called the CPIW, although the CPIW doesn't really exactly keep up with inflation and what seniors spend the most on. Instead, he wanted to change that over to the CPIE, which more closely, tracks expenses that seniors spend money on And if you look at the historical chart, CPIW versus CPIE, historically CPIE has actually been higher on a year-to-year basis, so he wanted to do that. And then of course he wanted to pay for all of that by reinstating the payroll tax for those earning above $400,000 per year. So this year, for example, if you're working, you would have a certain amount taken out of each paycheck, 6.2 to 12.4% to be exact, on the first $160,200 that you earned. But if you earned anything above that amount, you would not be taxed on anything above that amount. Biden wants to make it so you'd be taxed on that first $160,200, then you wouldn't be taxed on anything between $160,200 and $400,000. And then once again, once you started any income above the $400,000 mark would once again be taxed at the rate of 6.2 to 12.4%, depending whether or not you're an employee or an employer, whether you're self-employed. So, if we look at those four things, and probably across the board, Republicans and Democrats would probably agree with those things. They would really be in favor of them, just because it really helped them out substantially. But out of all those so far, what exactly has he done? None. And again, I guess if he was trying to push the things, maybe you couldn't blame him if they just weren't passing Congress for whatever reason. But he hasn't exactly gone out and really pushed for these things to happen, like he has, like the Inflation Reduction Act. We've seen certain policies that he really pushed for. He went out and forgave up to $20,000 worth of student loans. He was really in favor of that, but for some reason with Social Security, you don't exactly see him going out and pushing this idea of Social Security expansion. And why is that? Well, maybe he just doesn't really care all that much, or maybe he doesn't really want Social Security expansion to happen. Because if we look back at his days in Congress, we've seen numerous videos go viral of him saying that we need to sunset programs like Social Security. So maybe deep down, in fact, he doesn't really care about Social Security expansion. He's just going out and saying these things to hopefully buy up votes. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you believe that Biden truly wants Social Security to expand and increase benefits? Or do you think that maybe he's just impartial or really doesn't want that to happen? Now, we do, of course, have a couple of different bills. We have Bernie Sanders' Social Security Expansion Act that would increase benefits across the board by $200 and also raise the special minimum benefit to 25% above the federal poverty line. Then, of course, we have John Larson's Social Security 2100 Act that would increase benefits across the board by 2%, and would also increase the special minimum benefit to 25% above the federal poverty line. And of course, both of these bills would do a whole lot more than that. But again, we don't see the President of the United States, the leader of the free world. He's not going out there and saying to pass these bills. Instead, he's going out with other priorities. So again, I ask you, do you think Joe Biden really cares to expand and increase Social Security benefits? Or do you think he doesn't really care that much and would rather see other things passed, such as student loan forgiveness? Now, in some other news, of course, we had the last round of checks going out to certain Social Security beneficiaries today on November 22nd. So, according to this news article up on the screen here, who will receive $1,800 from Social Security on November 22nd? And you can see here that in 2023, the average payments for retirees have been $1,848 according to the SSA. The maximum benefit for those who retire at age 62 is $2,572 per month, $3,627 for workers who retire at the full retirement age, and $4,555 for those who retire at age 70 or after. Now, the article goes on to say, basically breaking down the payment schedule, and again, today is November 22nd, so those payments are going to beneficiaries with a date of birth from the 21st to the 31st of any given month. So if you were born between the 21st and 31st of any given month, today is when you would be receiving the payment. This is the last round of payments in November until next month in December. That's going to be the last round for 2023. Before that 3.2% cost of living adjustment, and of course, SSI beneficiaries are going to be receiving their 3.2% raise a little bit earlier next month in December. It's going to be on December 29th. That is technically just going to be their January payment because their January payment falls on a holiday. So they're just going to be receiving their January payment a little bit earlier. So if you do receive SSI, you're actually going to be receiving 2 payments next month in December. For everyone else, it's just going to be the normal 1 payment. But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. And I will see you in the next video.